Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
And she's back.
I am back.
Yeah, just in time to wrap up the week.
Yes, yes, just in the nick of time, right?
Beautiful. Went off from one of my favorite cities and great community, Biloxi.
Yes, definitely. It was really cold. It was very cold there this time of year. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Very rainy and cold, but it was a good experience, I would say. I got to meet with some other county chairs in the Southeast region, Kentucky to Oklahoma to Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and who else was there? But it was really fun.
Tennessee.
Yes, Tennessee, Kentucky. So, I learned a lot, but I will say I think the RNC is still really behind. That's a lot of my feedback. I think they're not reaching county chairs, and like there are people that didn't even know they could have access to some of the data that they have. There were, some interesting things, like people in different states do different things. So it was kind of interesting. Out of Oklahoma, probably one of the most interesting things that I heard was they're having an issue with finding poll workers, like to work the polls during elections. So one of their ideas was to approach the Chamber of Commerce, the business chamber,
right,
and try to seek out businesses that would give their people the day paid to go work at the polls. And so they're working something out in that way. And then also they are...
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, and then they're working on some stuff legislatively that would also give those businesses the opportunity to have like a tax credit for doing that, which I think is really beneficial. And I think it's an interesting solution to a problem. So very creative state chair there in Oklahoma. She was very interesting. So excited about that. And, we talked to some guys from Alabama. We talked about the redistricting and how they lost their redistricting battle. And we're going through our own here, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm hoping that our representatives do not give up any seats. I think that they might, but I think that they need to hold the line. I say you continue to fight the battles that need to be fought, and redistricting is one of them. The Democrats have been able to redistrict and do whatever they want, and when the party in power is in charge, like, we're allowed to do what we want. So I do think that they need to fight that battle, but they have to have those maps done by the 7th of December. So I do think it'll go up through the Supreme Court. They are challenging the judge's decision. And the person that sits on the bench for us is Clarence Thomas. So I do think that that's pretty good news for us.
Yeah, that's good news.
Yes.
That is. Clarence, we're for you, pal.
Yes.
Because all the Democratans are trying to come after you with the long knives, and it's just pathetic because of the racists that they are. Isn't it amazing if you imagine if the Democratans were coming after a black person? That's not a big deal. Republicans go after a black person, and suddenly they're the biggest racists on the planet.
Yep, that's how it works. Well, and it's not because of the color of their skin; it's because of what they did. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
They
keep making they don't ever make those distinctions, and the news media never seems to finish the sentence.
No.
They will tell you one side of a story, but they say, because right now, of course, they're accusing Donald Trump once again of being a Nazi, just like the last time they accused him of being a Nazi, because he's using Hitler's language when he is calling out these people, and they're calling them incompetent and morons and things of that nature because they're incompetent and they're morons. So the left-wing media and our media is terrible here. The big 300,000 people or more there for in support of Israel. The place was cleaner when they left than when they got there. They didn't spray paint any monuments. They didn't put any blood on the fence at the White House or try to climb it, try to get in the place. They didn't tear down any doors. They didn't injure police officers. They didn't get in any rioting whatsoever. And the Washington Post thought that was so important that it wasn't even on the front page. It was on I think it was on the Metro section or something. And the next, but it just, this is the status of what we're having these days. And yet yesterday, there was a left-wing anti-war protest by the Palestinians, for those
Pro-Palestinian protests.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, those peace-loving Palestinians, and all sorts of and police officers were injured. 9, I believe, police officers were injured as they were popping off, and they were at DNC headquarters. And Lucky Chucky Schumer didn't have a damn thing to say about it either.
But they were on lockdown yesterday as well.
Yeah.
So did have to lock down the Capitol offices, which I don't know, Bill, really seems like an insurrection to me.
Yeah, it was. I think it's the worst thing since maybe the Civil War. And these people ought to get 33 years in prison. I think they ought to be thrown in solitary confinement, not allowed to talk to an attorney or anything of that nature. So let's get that taken care of.
We're outside the DNC. We're outside the Democratic Party headquarters because this party claims to be on the side of life and peace and equality. And we're saying that we want them to live up to their values and oppose this horrific war and call for a ceasefire now. And we're being responded to by the police shoving anti-war activists down the stairs, shoving peaceful protesters back with their bikes. And because our party that 80% of us want a ceasefire, would rather beat up protesters.
Hold on, to be continued. One second. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Someone just got thrown. People getting thrown down the stairs. Yo. This is going wild out here, bro.
And just to let you know, for the Communist News Network, they were reporting things like that 3 years ago, mostly peaceful.
Yes, well, and we'll see if anything happens. I think this could go one of two ways. This is the DNC headquarters, so we'll see if that makes a difference on whether these people get charged. But definitely, I think that they're probably all out of whoever was arrested. I'm sure they're out first thing this morning.
Yeah, if they weren't out within 5 minutes after they got there.
Yeah.
Get the old Lindsay Lohan sentence.
The treatment. Yeah.
You're in jail for 45 seconds.
Well, and here's the other things that I want to draw from this is that they are dressed identical to how the Black Lives Matter protesters were, which is in all black. This is a tactic that they use when they do these riots or these peaceful protests, mostly peaceful protests.
Yeah.
They dress in all black, and so when you describe the person, it's like everyone else. They're all dressed in black.
Yeah.
Could you have been mistaken?
Yeah.
So it gives them an out on being able to identify people.
Like on St. Patrick's Day, my child's missing. Well, he's dressed in green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not helpful.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot that you can draw from this. And it's like, was Black Lives Matter paid for by the same people that are now paying these people? Because I don't know if you saw this, Bill, but there are signs that are just being set out for these protests. I don't know if we have that clip, but it's clip 22, if we can pull that.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah, really well organized. They set it up already. Hundreds of people around.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little interlude.
Yeah.
But it was just like when all the illegal aliens, the dreamers, started coming across the border when President Biden got in, and all of them, they were wearing these Biden shirts, and where did all this come from?
Well, and
how did those people get here?
Well, here's the other thing. All of those signs are pre-printed, and so it's like a staging area. They know that they're going to have a protest there later that day or whatever, and so they've staged all of these places with signs and whatever you would need. And when it was the BLM protests of 2020, you saw they had put out bricks and things like that for them to use. So this is very organized effort, and it's amazing.
They tried that
how quickly
here.
they organize.
They tried that here, and we shut it down. All of a sudden, these loads coming in from Home Depot or something like that, and fortunately, our police department said no.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that. You're not going to destroy downtown Savannah. That's for damn sure.
No, well, that's also our moneymaker, right? So you destroy downtown Savannah, where it puts us all in jeopardy. It puts our economy in jeopardy, and it also makes it so people don't want to go visit those places. So. I really do think it's interesting how much we're seeing these people organize, and it's really fracturing the left. But not only is it fracturing the left, it is also fracturing the right. I don't know if you saw this, but there's a big divide in the Daily Wire between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. And Ben Shapiro, he has been probably a little bit more emotional than other people, but I think he's more impacted by what's going on in Israel. I know that he has family there. He is an Orthodox Jew, and he has been very, very much in favor of destroying the Palestinians and taking all of them out on the Gaza Strip. Where Candace Owens' argument is, you know what, we have our own stuff going on in America. Like, we need to focus on our border. We need to focus on all of these things. And she didn't say anything negative about Israel, but at the end of the day, like, we can't help anyone if we can't help ourselves first. And they're destroying our country. And when our country's being destroyed, should we really be putting resources into another country? It's a hard sell. And Biden has put us here, honestly. So the decisions are not going to be easy moving forward. But at the end of the day, we're not going to have a country if we don't start making some of these hard decisions.
And of course, yesterday he was out there in San Francisco, where they have, I think they're serving rice-a-roni again. It's the San Francisco treat. Because you can serve it without anybody eating it on the streets. All of a sudden, isn't it amazing how quickly they said, "Oh, this is hopeless. It's going to take years to get this settled and get these people out of here." And Xi Jinping is coming over, and suddenly, with the communist Chinese got it cleaned up.
They sure did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. It looked like China, honestly.
I'm for the Xi Jinping tour now. Let him go to Los Angeles, get that cleaned up, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly shove, and let's get America cleaned up again. And plenty of communist flags.
But here's the thing. They cleaned it up so quickly. Where did all those people go?
Well, the news media has been just a real bulldog on. Oh, no, they haven't. Yeah, they haven't asked that question, but there probably could be in internment camps. Democrats are good at putting people in internment camps, just as the World War II Japanese people that were living here peacefully until they were all rounded up and thrown into concentration camps here in America.
Yeah, and Steve Stanton Sr. is with us this morning. He says they were the first ones. They're the first ones disappeared when the communists take over. And Ben Shapiro, How to Get Rid of Your Base 101. Yeah, I mean, he's been he's been rather aggressive on the Israel stuff. Like I said, I think it's a very emotionally tied response to what's going on. And I understand it because they killed over 1,400 Jews in one day. And like we said on the show, how do you negotiate with someone that the only answer or the only resolution is that all the Jews in Israel are dead?
I think all Hamas ought to be dead.
I don't disagree with you.
So, yeah. Well, do you know it's Literacy Week?
Oh, I did know that.
Yeah, Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools are asking parents to help select textbooks. And we'll be telling you about how to participate and also what's going on in your financial world. We've got Travis Chance standing by from CFG Wealth Management to give us a few tips and let me talk you off the ledge and let you know that the stock market's been skyrocketing recently. More from Travis coming up. Stay real. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. Greetings.
I'm Brittany Brown.
I'm Bill Edwards.
We're the co-hosts of Get Real America.
We're the CEO and the president of something we call the Local Spin, and there's a reason we call it the Local Spin.
We want to cover stories that really impact your life at the local level. Don't have a local business? No problem. If you know people that have a local business, make sure you reach out to them and let them know that they should advertise on our show.
Our rates are extremely reasonable, a lot better than you find in most of the media in this town, and you will get results. I promise. You will be investing in something that's important.
If you don't have the ability to donate, make sure you like our page and share it with your friends. Have you always wanted to own a local media company? Well, now's your opportunity.
Here we are.
Make sure you become an investor today. Make sure that you go to thelocalspin.com/GRA and donate there. We want to provide an evening and morning news to you in a way that you've never seen before, but we need your help.
Yeah, this is something that what NPR said that they were supposed to be. NPR gets something in the range of $450 million of your tax money every year to slant the news the way they want to and to not cover stories that they need to be covering.
You need local media. Make sure to check us out and donate today.
Welcome back to Get Real America. Time now to check in and find what's going on in the financial world with our good buddy Travis Chance, CFG Wealth Management. And Travis, what's the latest? It looks like we've got another one of those galloping markets at this point, and it looks like our happier days are here again or something.
Well, Bill, I'm not going to say that I had my Karnak the Great hat on. But I did tell you a few weeks back, and our listeners, that this is why you don't try to time the market. It's the Fed was dumping treasuries. Janet Yellen was dumping treasuries on the market to fund the government. China was a net seller, not a net buyer of treasuries. And basically, interest rates were just continuing to skyrocket. Well, now that you've seen all of that activity slow down and in some cases stop, what have we seen? We have seen a face-ripping rally for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and those that got really over anxious or emotional because maybe they were, as we talked about, they were not making sound decisions. They were basically reacting. They weren't thinking through and logically saying, what is the danger to my portfolio? What are ways we can capitalize on it? They probably have not liked the last 3 weeks, which the S&P by itself is up close to 8 to 10% over just the last less than a month. So, it's really just been a case of the Fed finally, I think, kind of like when you were a kid. And it's not going back to the Christmas story, like, you'll shoot your eye out. But they used to ask you to, when my parents and I were growing up, my brother and I, we would get asked, give us a list. What's your Santa list, right? Well, the Fed Santa list has been getting checked and checked off for the last month. And the last inflation data, like we saw yesterday, coming in softer than expected, the PPI coming in today softer than expected. It's really giving the Fed everything that they asked for, and guess what? You've seen the market respond accordingly. So I'm not saying that it's all clear. It's never going to be all clear. There's always going to be things in the market we don't like. There's always headline risk. But at the end of the day, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I really feel like the lows were put in October of last year. I think that we've seen 2 major corrections this year, which we usually have one at least in a normal market, especially now that the Fed's not really spoon feeding us sugar. So I really feel like that we're in the beginning of a bull market for some individual names. I do think the overall market's going to continue to struggle, and I think indexing going forward is going to be interesting. But there again, if you're out there and you're listening to Bill's show, you're doing it because he's giving you some good guidance on other issues. Let me give you some on the financial side. That's why you don't make these really emotional decisions, and that's why you have a plan, because you go ahead and plan for the worst case, so that if you do see it like you saw 3 months prior, you don't overreact, you adjust, you move forward, and that's usually going to net a much better result. So hopefully your listeners were listening over the last few months and took our advice accordingly. So
Yeah, well, consumption continues to sort of drive the GDP gains. That seems to be, and of course, here we are going into the consumption season where people are going to be going out and doing Christmas shopping. Looks like it could be a good year.
It is, but here's the thing, Bill. It doesn't have to come in gangbusters every year for us to have a good year-over-year growth. And let's face it, the unemployment rate's still at 3.8%. We're seeing, help wanted signs, and I know we've mentioned this before. We've seen help wanted signs come out of windows. You've seen less. In some areas, less hiring, but are you seeing this massive fall off in employment that's going to lead to less spending and drive down sales? No. Now, not saying that everyone out there is going to get everything on their wish list this year, because I know some kids like mine. I mean, I'm telling them to ask for groceries from Santa because I'm tired of paying for them. Yeah. I mean, I would really like for Publix to give us a wish list, but I don't think we're going to see the massive fall off that maybe was anticipated. I think this year is going to be single digit to maybe even low double digit, 10%, 11% growth. But I do think it is going to be a positive year over year.
You see anything like the Fed or other central banks are going to cut rates?
I think that's the expectation for next year. Now, whether it happens or not, I'm not sure. I think that the Fed did get too heavy-handed, and let's face it, there's a drastic difference between slowing the economy and then all of a sudden, when it's raging forward, it's kind of like Fred Flintstone, and he's digging his feet into the dirt and he's trying to get the car to stop. Well, when it's going really fast, it's very difficult. And that's what the Fed's been doing, and their feet have been smoking, right? That's whenever he gets out and he starts jumping around because his feet are on fire. Well, now the car is not going that fast, so if they continue to apply the same force, that could cause the market to seize up or to stop, which is what they don't want. So I do believe, and this is once again an opinion, everyone has one, I think June of next year is probably your first rate cut. It could happen before, but that's my prediction right now is June. And I'm not saying that we're going to cut 100 basis points, Bill, but I do think a 25 basis point rate cut is not out of the question. And I do think the Fed understands that they have gone maybe a bit too far. Dumping the debt on the open market, not being a buyer, has really continued to hurt. It's made mortgage costs go up. Auto sales have gone down because it's more difficult to get a car financed than it was previously. So I do think at some point next year that is in the cards, but I don't think it's going to be this massive, we've got to cut because the economy is, oh my God, it's on the brink of just collapsing. I think it'll be more to grease the wheels than it will be to offset this massive stop or this massive recession. So
Sure. Well, you see, like you say, higher rates are affecting everything. And that's, so, I mean, like I went to the grocery store, spent about $150 yesterday and came home like 3 bags.
Right.
And still didn't get everything I wanted.
Yep, spent $145 the other day. Of all places, at Walmart neighborhood grocery, spent $145 and literally carried everything to the car and didn't even need the buggy.
Yeah.
So, I get it. That's the reason I said I'm putting groceries on my wish list because my kids eat like they have been in a camp for for 3 months. They eat everything that's got the word berry on it, and oh my goodness, if you've bought blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, anything in the last 2 years, you feel my pain. You know what I'm talking about. It's just
Sure.
astronomical.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a story in the Wall Street Journal today about Warren Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway is shedding its shares of GM, J&J, Johnson and Johnson, and Procter and Gamble, and going with things like Apple, American Express, and Coca-Cola. Any thoughts along those lines?
I think American Express is a no-brainer. I mean, you're still seeing. I don't think the way, and once again, there's no way to understand what goes on in Warren Buffett's head, but evidently it's all good stuff. I think American Express is a no-brainer because those, and once again, we can have the debate, but American Express is the upper echelon as far as most people for credit cards. You're still seeing the higher income earners, higher wage earners spending. Obviously, that is a great way to generate revenue because, I mean, their interest rates are still pretty high. So are all the other credit cards. So a lot of your maybe income, say under 100,000, they're using Visa, MasterCard. They're really starting to feel the pinch because of inflation, because of food prices, et cetera. Their spending has cut down. It's not stopped, but it's cut down. Whereas over 100, I think the statistic has not slowed down near as much. So I think American Express is a great play there. Coca-Cola, I mean, let's face it. There's a lot of things I'll go without, Bill, and I might gripe every time I pay $12 for a case of Diet Coke versus $6 a few years ago. But guess what? I'm still buying every time I go to the store.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to buy it. I mean, you get accustomed to a certain brand. There's brand loyalty. I don't think that stops in pretty much any environment. So,
yeah, pretty remarkable. So once again, Travis, we have people like you to help us out because we can't keep our finger on the pulse of everything. I mean, like I said, I go to the Wall Street Journal, and God knows there's a whole bunch of stuff. So to have somebody that looks out for me and still helps keep us afloat, I think is a good concept. So tell people how they can get in touch with you, and if they're thinking about whether it's never too late to start investing.
It is not, Bill. It is never too late to start planning. It's never too late to start investing. Folks, if you're out there listening to Bill's show, it's because you understand the value of common sense. You get it every day and every week from Bill, and hopefully you get a little bit from us. And if that's something that's missing in your planning, or you would like to actually figure out where to start, how to formulate your plan, that's why you give us a call at 877-269-0839. That's 877-269-0839. And if you reference Bill's show, we will give you a 20-minute either phone call or in-person meeting at one of our office locations. And that is on us for being a loyal listener and follower of Bill's show. So anything we can do to help, that's what we're here for.
All right. Travis, appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week. Stay safe.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks.
Take care.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye. So, once again, it's invaluable information. It doesn't cost you anything to talk to him for 20 minutes. Find out how you don't want to run out of money before you run out of breath.
Right, and Travis Chance is the best there is out there, so make sure you get in contact with him.
Indeed. We talked to you just before we go to the break about Literacy Week here that's going on, and I've heard nothing but good news about from people on the board and everywhere else about our new school superintendent. There's an excellent article about her in the Connect and how she wants to improve the reading in our schools, because she said she made pretty good choices when she was a kid, but her sister didn't, and her sister has died. They didn't go into circumstances as to what caused her sister to pass away, but it seems like that this is one of her causes, to make sure that our kids know how to read. And if you don't, then your
options are limited. Yeah,
pretty much. So what they're asking to do, and I'm all in favor of this, that they're asking your input as to what their textbooks ought to be. in our public schools. The first meeting is today. They're just looking for public input as to what textbooks to use, and it's 4:30 to 7 at Schumann Elementary School. Used to be Schumann Middle School. Before that was Schumann Junior High School, and we called it Junior High, which I like much better. Some idiot came up with the idea of middle school. Oh, please. But at any rate, it's at Schumann, and it's on Goebel Avenue, and that's between 4:30 and 7 today. Then there's another meeting on Friday, December the 1st, also 4:30 to 7. All these are at Schumann. And then there's one from 8 a.m. until noon on Saturday, December the 2nd. So we'll put those down and we'll put that up on the screen a little bit later. We'll keep reminding you of that as well. But the first one's today, 4:30 to 7 at Schumann Elementary School, to pick out the public input. So if you could start complaining about what the kids are, what the textbooks are saying or anything, you don't show up for the meeting, don't complain. All right, Coming up next, we're going to find out what's going on in the skies, friendly or otherwise. Our good buddy Jay Ratliff, aviation analyst and expert, is on deck. Stay real. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit. Welcome back to Get Real America. Time now to check in with what's going on in the air and sometimes on the ground. A lot of crazy stuff and also some informative stuff. Jay Ratliff, aviation analyst, on the line here with us once again. And Jay, I understand that there's some sort of a social media problem that we're having these days on airlines, passengers getting false reports or something like that. What's this all about?
Yeah, it's coming out to scammers. And what's taking place right now is that you have scammers that are creating social network sites, Facebook, Twitter, trying to make them look like airline social media platforms, in hopes that people contact them, try to make reservations, change reservations, and they're using those platforms to get personal information, credit card numbers, names, birthdays, social security numbers, all kinds of things. And with us coming up on the busiest travel week of the year, with 30 million people scheduled to fly over 12 days over the Thanksgiving holiday, Bill, the concern is from airlines, look, be careful on these sites because you don't want to be giving out any of your information to people that are on these sites that are, pretend sites, because the whole idea is that scammers are going to do what they can to make things look as good as they can to try to get information from us. So the airlines are saying be extra vigilant as you move through on these.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's boy, we're seeing more and more of that these days from just about everything. Well,
we're getting more comfortable and probably a little bit more relaxed with technology. And as a result, it's causing people to kind of drop their guard a bit, and people are taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, as a businesswoman to order Repay American Airlines for a diverted flight, she caused an unscheduled stop. We're finally getting to that point.
Well, I'm glad the airlines are doing it. I wish they would do it more often. And then I wish we would take the picture of the person with the amount that they were charged and slap it up like a wanted poster at the checkpoints or at the TSA security points.
You would think they would.
Well, this is a lady that it was February this year. American Airlines Phoenix to Honolulu flight takes off from Phoenix. She starts creating an onboard issue. Plane turns around, comes back, has to land back in Phoenix. She's removed from the flight. She pleaded guilty to one count of interfering with a flight crew member, and she is ordered to repay American Airlines nearly $39,000 for the delay. That's restitution. 3 months prison, 3 years probation, not permitted to fly without court approval for 3 years. And I've seen this happen from time to time where we have passengers that are fined. Bill, I don't remember anything close to $40,000, but that kind of stuff can happen. Plus, she might face civil lawsuits from people that were on the plane, headed to a job interview, headed to a wedding, heading to try to reach a family member before they pass away, and who knows what. So
Exactly.
she might spend 10 years in court battling all this because of one flight, one bad situation that continued to spiral. And, statistically, it doesn't happen often because you have 2.5 million people a day that fly, and we talk about this every other week.
Sure.
But still, it's such an inconvenience, not only to the people on board that flight, but the people that are waiting on that flight in Honolulu to come back and everything else.
Yeah, it's amazing. There was another story that made Fox News yesterday about a lady who was from Nashville or something, and apparently she is thinks she's a recording star, is singing her song, the one that she composed or something, because she said everybody wanted to hear it. Head flight attendant kept telling her to shut up. She wouldn't, because she says she's charting with this, and everybody wants to hear her song. She's a stroller. She gets in the cockpit, though she can't be in there. This was crazy.
It is, and one of the things that happens is that people use these occasions thinking I'm going to be the next viral video, and they're hoping that it opens up things for them where they can expand on whatever career they have. Who knows what? The bottom line is, if I'm on there, I don't want to hear you. Sit down and shut up. If I did, I would express interest, pay to come see you or what have you. But in this captive audience thing, and people that are so craving attention and any sort of publicity, they'll use that. Now, keep in mind, if you keep doing that, we can reference the last woman that tried to, not intentionally make a name for herself, but that ended up getting, kicked off of a plane and fined a tremendous amount of money. So it can backfire on you quickly. The problem is people just see all the attention that these people on planes are getting, and the thought is, that I can use this to my advantage. And more often than not, it works against them, and that certainly is the case. And I'm just glad more often than not they try to shut these people down.
Isn't that the truth? Well, as we leave today, understand that there's a galloping gourmet of some sort, or a galloping horse or something.
Yeah, there's a headline that certainly is a head turner about a flight that had to return to JFK because the horse got loose. And I'll pause for effect before I say this was a cargo flight out of JFK. It was a 747. And a lot of times they will transport large animals like horses, even zoo animals on board flights. And they're within a stable, a small area. They're not super confined, but they don't have the ability to roam over great distances. Well, this horse gets out. And when you have any sort of shifting weight and balance in the back of an aircraft, it can be problematic for the flight crew to the point of being dangerous. So when the horse gets loose, first thing they do is declare an emergency where they can come back and land so that they can secure the animal and then go about their business. Because, let's say that you're a big time, gazillionaire, and you want to transport one or two of your horses from one of your homes to another home. A lot of times you'll fly them from different cities or different countries. So this is something that's done quite a bit. Normally they're given a bit of a sedation and then they go from there. But in this, what we're looking at is, fortunately nothing happened. They're erring on the side of caution. But yes, I think one of the only times in 32 years I can remember talking about a flight they had to divert because the horse got loose. But it is a serious situation, and that's why they did what they had to do.
Yeah, well, there's that. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you know, but this rich rancher in Texas wanted Elon Musk to put some of his cattle up into orbit in one of his SpaceX flights. And he wanted to call it the herd shot around the world. I didn't know if you'd heard about that or not.
People with all the money in the world, they can do things just to say stuff like that if they wanted.
Yes, they can. All right. Sometimes you just tell them for yourself. All right. Jay, we appreciate it, pal. As we say, you can't make this stuff up, and we appreciate you keeping the finger on the pulse for us.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Take care. God bless. We'll be right back.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
And Brittany's back.
I am back for the last day of our week.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be back. I will say Mississippi was interesting. I met a lot of awesome people and was grateful for the experience. So.
I love Mississippi.
Yes.
Yeah. Went to Ole Miss, and I thought we were going to play a real barn burner against Georgia. The first quarter and a half was really good, and then we decided to leave. But when you're playing in your practice uniforms, what do you expect?
Yeah.
I wish they'd go back to putting on their school uniforms, but the school colors on their uniforms. But that's a hill I ain't going to die on right now. Meanwhile, there's a strange story coming out of Fort Stewart this morning. According to a media release by the Fort Stewart Public Affairs Office, and I know Kevin Larson, the PIO there, good guy that we've known for years. Fort Stewart law enforcement officers are conducting a death investigation at the post. And according to the release by the public information officer, Mr. Larson, the incident is being investigated as in the on-post housing area, not named by the Department of the Army Criminal Investigation Division. They said they are aware and are investigating this incident. The release goes on to say that there could be more than one deceased individual. The identities, of course, not being released until notification of next of kin, but there's no reason to believe. They said there was an extended threat to the community. An investigation is in progress, and they don't have any additional information. But our prayers go with the families, and good luck with that investigation. And we're sorry to see that from our beloved heroes at Fort Stewart and all the other military installations that we have here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on here in Savannah. I did see the mayor come out this week as well and say that we do not have a gang problem here. And then all of the citizens were responding to that saying, we definitely have a gang problem here. So rather interesting stuff going on in the city of Savannah, too.
Denial ain't just a river in Egypt.
Yeah, well, not when it comes to this town. So, but here's the other thing. There's been a lot of weird traffic incidents and things like that here with shootings and I don't know, Bill. I think getting rid of the DA is going to be priority number one in 2024 because she's done a real number on our county.
Governor Kemp, you can do this.
Yeah.
You got the power. We gave you the power, so let's get rid of this woman.
Well, I think that's the thing. We have the commission that has they're basically they're coming up with their rules and different things like that right now. And we were told that they were going to be ready October 1st, Bill. I hate to break it to you. It's November.
Yeah.
They're not ready to go.
No, they're not. There was another story speaking of there have been delays on construction on the facility that they're expanding the Savannah International Trade and Convention Center.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go over there and try to park, best thing to do is probably take an Uber or catch a drone or something.
Yeah.
But Joe Marinelli, the president of Visit Savannah, says that's not good news. We've already got because this thing's supposed to be open here in less than a year, and we got places. We got this thing booked for several events. That's not good to see it have to go to Charleston or Brunswick or whatever.
No. Well, and I mean, it's a mess over there. If you haven't been over there, I've been over there for some gun shows and things like that, and definitely under construction. You can feel it. It's not great. But I will say we have a lot of good things happening in Savannah, but I'm still very, very disappointed in their approval of that SCAD building. I don't think you'll ever hear me be excited about where they put the location of that building, and going over the river, it just makes me...
It looks terrible.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
I couldn't believe when I first started seeing it go up. I said, what in the hell is that? It's also ugly.
Yes. Well, and it looks very much like the building that is in Atlanta. It's like Atlanta and Savannah do not have the same architectural integrity, I don't think. I'm very sad that you see all these lovely steeples, which you are used to seeing in Savannah, and then you have this eyesore. So, very disappointed in that building. So, will be interesting to see what else they get away with building here in the city. Since, Van did win again, and it looks like it was the story of incumbents. I do not think anyone lost their seat. The only new member is Carol Bell of that board. So that is not...
Well, she was still there. She just got a different position.
No, Carol Bell was not on the city council. She was...
Oh, that's right.
She had left and made her return.
There was one other. Can't think of who it was, but there were two new on the board. I still can't believe Pat Rossiter lost. Shame on you for not going out to vote, though, if you didn't.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what district that would be, because I think Shabazz is still in, Palumbo.
Yep.
It may be District 5. I'm not sure who's in that seat, but...
And the folks on the south side, don't complain.
Curtis Pertee, south side looking like a ghost town, so we'll see if he's able to put any money, get any funding for the south side for some of the stuff going on there. They really do need to figure out what they're doing over there, because it's some of the places I don't even want to go. I went to a movie out there and I was like, do I want to be here? Steve Stanton Sr. says it's a blessing and a curse when it comes to SCAD.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think that there needs to be limitations. I think, SCAD brought a lot of stuff to the community, which is great, but now it's overboard. It's too much. It's like, we got to reel you back in. You have way too much control in this city, but that's what happens when you have money, isn't it, Bill?
When you see a sign coming up and taking down "Welcome to Savannah," say "Welcome to SCAD."
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. I mean, they took a lot of these white elephants and turned them into really and these old neighborhood elementary schools that the kids used to be able to walk to, and come home and not have their face on a milk carton 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
They redid those, repurposed those, and it's been wonderful from that standpoint. These old buildings that were sitting there abandoned for decades that have turned into very useful and things. But right now, saying that they are completely exonerated from having to pay taxes is ridiculous.
Absolutely, especially when you see how much I think Savannah has higher taxes than some places in California, which was very mind-blowing to me. But I talked to some people that moved here from California, and they're like, the taxes in Savannah are horrible.
Yeah, and by political correctness running amok there as well, when you take down Clarence Thomas's name off of one of the buildings, knock it off, okay? Put it back on there.
100% agree. 100% agree.
He is a great success story. He is a local hero. And to be besmirched by the left wing Democrats, but I repeat myself, is pathetic.
Yeah,
Clarence Thomas is a real hero. We ought to be putting up monuments to him and put the name back on the building. Okay, Paula, you got your marching orders. Thank you.
We'll see if it ever happens. It might be when pigs fly, but
yeah. Kill it before it multiplies.
One of the other things that's disgraceful was yesterday we had people voting against the impeachment of Mayorkas, which how you could vote against that, I'm not really sure, but I think it's important to ask Representative Issa, Fox, Buck, Bentz, Turner, McHenry, McClintock,
Yeah.
and Duarte. So those are the people.
McHenry was the guy that was the temporary Speaker of the House.
From South Carolina.
Yeah.
So
right across the river.
Very interesting.
How could you not vote to impeach this guy?
Not sure.
And they said that they made some sort of excuse of whether not enough evidence or something. Not enough evidence.
There's over 10 million illegals that have come over the border. That is the population of 22 of our states put together.
And not to mention the terrorists and everything else that might be in here now, and sleeper cells and all the fentanyl that they were brought in. But President Biden was meeting with President Xi yesterday out in San Francisco, that pristine city now. But meeting with him and talking about not producing so much fentanyl anymore. How about none? Would be good. But I think one of the other things that I was impressed with that the president said was,
"Oh yeah, that's typical in his speeches. Mm-hmm. You have no idea what it's talking about."
This guy was up for more than 4 hours, so that's one of the reasons that he was maybe a little confused.
Oh well,
his day
he didn't get his nap.
4 hours, yeah.
Well, and you were saying that there was a foreign TV crew robbed while covering the APEC summit in San Francisco?
Yeah, this is poetic justice, isn't it? We've got it originally was reported because the media doesn't want to get things right. They just want to be first with the story. They said it was a Chinese crew, which would have been poetic justice. They got robbed while they were doing a story in San Francisco. It was actually a crew from the Czech Republic. So it was a check pilot, so that was like canceled checks or something. Oh. Yeah. So they stole all their equipment. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of cameras and all sorts of other equipment that they can sell on the black market. Maybe they could sell it to us.
Maybe. Let's take a look.
San Francisco police tonight are investigating the robbery of a foreign news crew covering the APEC summit. This happened just before 5 o'clock last night in the area of Broadway in Columbus. The journalists are from Czech Republic Public Television Station. They told police that a vehicle stopped on the street and 3 armed men got out and approached them. The suspects demanded their production equipment and the victims complied. The suspects got back into their vehicle and drove away. The news crew posted a tweet about the incident on X. A translated version says, "Thank you very much for the support we received, and CT News will keep shooting. We are here for the U.S. President's Summit with the Chinese leader, and we'll be there, as always, for CT."
Always interesting. Always interesting. Well, and
can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw San Francisco when he was in town, but oh man, they cleaned it up and it looked just like China. I think we have.
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, and all the Chinese flags, the CCP is working its tail off. All these environmentalists who are so concerned about these things.
Well, that's the thing. What did they do with all the people in San Francisco? Because I was there probably, it's got to be like 6 or 7 years ago.
Me too.
And
we were probably there at the same time together.
Yeah. And we didn't even know it.
Yeah.
But it was terrible. We saw the wall. So we were in the nice area of San Francisco. We stayed at a historic hotel. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was the Sir Francis Drake Hotel. And kitty corner from our hotel was a Walgreens. It was robbed 3 times while we were there. 3 times. It was insane. And so I can't imagine how bad it has gotten since then, because this was during the Trump years that I was there. So during the Biden years, I can only imagine how bad it was. But they cleaned it up quickly.
Sure did. So anybody who says that this can't be taken care of, it's going to take a long time to get this done. It's kind of like, but long before Donald Trump was president, there was a skating rink or something in New York City.
Yes. Yep.
They had been trying for, the city that owned it at the time, 5 years they were trying to get upgrades for it. He bought it, and in 3 months it was upgraded.
Yep. And still, they hate him. I don't get it.
That's what I think that they ought to be. The UN building is beautiful, and it would be great condominiums. I think we ought to go in there. As I said, that was one of the things that I wanted Trump to see. The first thing he did as president was to go in and tell the folks at the UN, all right, you're out of here. You can go to Switzerland if you want to. You can put this up in Chad if you want to, someplace in Africa, and let them worry about the problem. But we're taking this place over, and we're turning it into condos and to businesses. See ya.
Yeah, they need to do something. And so, Bill, you don't see Donald Trump doing debates.
No.
But apparently we're having another one in December. I think that this is a moneymaker for the RNC. That's the only reason that I can think of that we are doing like 5 debates right now. Yeah. But Donald Trump, when he shows up, he does it in style, and he does it with some great friends. He walked into the UFC fight in Madison Square Garden. This is in New York, for those of you that don't know. I do think it's very interesting to see the reaction he got. He was with Kid Rock and Tucker Carlson and Dana White.
Mm-hmm.
How strong that team is, making his way into the building. One of the bigger mixed martial arts fans I know, President Donald Trump, taking his octagon side seat for UFC 295. We got 2 title fights coming up at UFC 295 here in a matter of moments, live from Madison Square Garden. And President Trump will be here to witness all of it. 4 of the very best fighters in the world set to take their cracks at light heavyweight and interim heavyweight gold, respectively. We move over to pay-per-view shortly. Thank you all for being here for the prelim coverage. But as you know, best is yet to come. Main card for UFC 295, live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view from Madison Square Garden. Starts right now.
We're outside the DNC.
Yeah, there was that idiot.
Yeah. She's unhinged. If she saw Trump, I'm sure she'd react the same way. But I just think that this is interesting, Bill, because to tell me that he still doesn't have the following that he had prior to 2020 or 2016, I think that this is Trump on a whole new level. You don't see people getting that kind of standing ovation when they walk into a room.
And of course, when he was running for president the first time, you notice that he was drawing crowds like this, and the huge crowds of people are waiting for hours outside, and only about a third of them could get in at the most, and then the rest of the time they were watching on the jumbotrons or whatever it is that they had, and the media saying, don't be confused by, and then the Hildebeest has a rally. The only time people showed up is because she had some rock star or something that was some group that was performing, and as soon as they left the stage, so did the crowd. You could have gotten more people to a refrigerator opening than most of the times when she showed up. But don't pay any attention to that about popularity. So, and then, of course, Trump gets elected, and the pucker factor went way up.
Well, and who's your pick for VP for Trump? Do you have one?
Yeah, DeSantis.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson is the #1 frontrunner for VP in all of the polls. I think a lot of people were hoping for Kari Lake. Kari Lake is running for that Senate seat in Arizona, which I think will be very good. But Christie, people are also wanting him to pick a female, and I'm like, let's not play that game on the Republican side. Let's not do that.
No, for sure.
I do think Trump needs a little bit of balance, and I do think Tucker Carlson is, he's still very outspoken, but he's so calculated in the way that he does things. So big fan of Tucker Carlson, but also, I know Vivek has some issues, but I do love his, he still has that Trumpian showmanship to him.
Well, I loved
but
it when,
he's
I
more
loved
articulate.
When he called out the media.
But he's more articulate.
Yeah.
So I really like the way that Vivek has presented himself. I know that people are like, he was on a scholarship with a Soros brother, those types of things, but he explained all of that stuff. So I am a big fan of Vivek. I don't think that will change, but it'll be interesting to see who the VP pick is. I think most people are excited. I know that we're doing this whole thing where we're pretending that Trump is not going to be the nominee, but you're up in the polls 60 points. I just don't see anyone catching up.
Yeah, there's no catching up at that point. No. So just work for a second place. And with Thanksgiving being a week from today, it looks like Nikki Haley's cooking her own goose. by coming out and saying we want to take over. First thing I want to do is take over social media and make sure everybody. Now, half of this I like. Okay, tell people who you are, and maybe he won't. Well, I've always said that about. We used to have a column in our Savannah Morning News called the Vox Populi. People would come in and they could anonymously say stuff. I said if they had to put their name on that,
Would they say it?
what would they say? Yeah, that'd be a different story. Meanwhile, we're about to head down the home stretch here, wrap it up, and we need your help. If you can do anything as far as getting advertising, our advertising rates are extremely low compared to the hundreds of thousands of dollars that most of you are paying if you were an advertiser to the corporate-owned television stations here and radio stations. Our rates are a lot lower, and I think we can get some results for you.
Make sure you like and share our videos. And again, you can become a member. Bill and I will do some behind the scenes stuff that will be really fun for everyone. So make sure you do that and you support us.
And you can donate behind the scenes as well. We're not going to tell you who. We're not going to tell people who's donating here. We're locally owned. Nobody tells us what to say, what to do. Okay. We're free to do that. Everybody's been saying, we want this local. We'd love to have a locally owned conservative media. Here we are. Put your money where your mouth is, please. We can't continue to do this very much longer if we don't get more support.
Absolutely.
That's just the reality.
Yep.
Please help us out.
Yep. Make sure you go to our website at thelocalspin.com. And right before we go out for the weekend, Mary McCann Hybrider says Vivek for VP. And Steve Stanton Sr. says, I think it's wonderful Pence is not in the conversation. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. And good on Tim Scott. Everybody says, they like a nice politician. He's out.
Well, but also I think that's a plan because
it could be.
Nikki Haley is also from South Carolina, and I think that he was probably not helping her out. So I think that this is all coordinated.
And coming up at speaking of the convention center a while ago, but like to see it, Christmas Made in the South coming up this weekend starts tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. Hope to see you out there. Have a great weekend. God bless.
Have a good day.
And remember, you can't spell Democrat without RAT.